So one of the major advantages of working with software products like Design Center is its ability to flexibly add support for new or changing hardware products. In this case, in Design Center 3.0, we've added support for a product that was known as Inspire, has now been rebadged as RFLC, and includes support for the products, the full range of products, the dimmers, the relays, the key fobs, fan modules, plug-in modules, and the multi-location switch. So in this particular case, we've built up a project, a quick project representing maybe a 6,000 or 7,000 square foot home where RFLC could be a prime candidate. So in this case, I'm going to take the RFLC dimmer, drag him into the entry, and to control, let's say, the chandelier in the main entry of this home. So I'm going to just rename this the entry RFLC dimmer. I'm going to go to the load, and I'm going to rename this chandelier. And I'm going to make him be an incandescent load as he is. He's dimmable, and I'm going to call him 400 watts power. So prior to 3.0, you were not able to add an RFLC station and see this device, including its trim, such as this Arctic White Trim Line 2 trim and plate, as well as click on the RFLC station itself, the dimmer, and choose its colors, Arctic White, Black, or Ivory. Or name its load and assign it a wattage and a power profile. The RFLC power profile is the recommended and only power profile available for those RFLC products. Let's say, for example, in this entry, I wanted another RFLC dimmer ganged with this one to control a couple of different loads. In this case, I just added another one, so I'm going to call this particular guy entry RFLC dimmer 2, and I'm going to rename this load to be front porch lights. Okay. So now I've got two loads and two gangs. Very typical, very easy to add, very easy to use, and you can take these dimmers or relays and add them to each of the rooms through the project as you need. 1, 2, and 3 gangs, whatever the particular install requires. One of the things that we've added in Design Center 3.0 in order to support this, we're going to go to bus view to show you. Here are your typical hardwired bus runs off of the controller. So WireLink bus 1, WireLink bus 2, and the RadioLink bus. But it's important to note that RFLC does not use the RadioLink bus or the standard RF enabler. It is using a new product called the RFLC enabler. New to Design Center, that is. It used to be called the MR232, but they're specialized firmware specific to the RFLC system that you will need to use in conjunction with an InFusion controller. It's called the RFLC enabler. It adds it automatically to the project as soon as you add any RFLC stations. It'll put it into your ordering wizard so that you can get the right product ordered and shipped out to your project. Okay, so that's an important piece to see here as well. So now let's go back to our view of the entry, and let's say at the other end of the entry here, on the other side of this room, there is a three-way for the chandelier, those lights. And this RFLC multi-location station, notice that no load came in with it. That's because this particular station does not have a load. It's not got a dimmer or a relay on it. It's just a communicating station. And in the Inspire world, or the pure RFLC world, it's used in three-way scenarios and wired together, so that you can raise or lower the lights that the other groups are set up for the loads. The way it works in Design Center, however, is that the up and down states of this particular station has a press and a release, so we can actually make this into a button. So let's say, for example, I wanted this button to turn on and off through a dim, if you will, the chandelier in the main entrance. So I'm going to do what I typically do to any other keypad or ScenePoint dimmer. I'm going to go through my task wizard. I'm going to go to lighting, dim. Let's just choose a simple dim. Let's choose the chandelier load. We want it to go to 95%. Let's say we wanted to do it over 2 seconds on and 5 seconds off. LED action, let's just say if the loads are on instead of at learned level. And we're going to call this the main entry lights dim. And I hit OK. So now what I've done is anytime I press this button, it's going to control that load. It's important to note this because this is a three-way scenario, and you don't need to do any of the standard RFLC Kung Fu grip where you hold it down, get the scenes together and the like. That's all gone with an InFusion processor. You're just sending the command to the controller to tell that load to turn on. What I failed to mention earlier is that each one of these switches is not programmable. These are the dimmers or the relays. They are only local load control. So the up state or top part of the button will turn the light on. The bottom part press will turn the light off. In this case, the chandelier. But I added the RFLC station to give me control for that three-way scenario at the other end of the entry that allowed me through this task to turn that light on as well without having to do any special programming on the RFLC side or grouping those scenes together like you typically used to. So that's a really nice feature with that RFLC multi-location station, in effect being a three-way programmable two-button keypad. So one of the last things I want to show you in the standard RFLC scenario is in the bus view with regards to configuring stations. Now, in configuration mode, what you would do is you would click on the RFLC enabler directly, and they're grayed out because I'm not live to any of these stations. I don't have an RFLC enabler hooked up, but you would start by adding the house ID mode, hit start. It's going to show up and pop up with a house ID now. As soon as you get that house ID mode, you can go through the process on each one of these stations of configuring these particular products with a triple press on the dimmers and on the multi-location stations, the relays, etc., and enrolling those or registering or configuring them like we would typically do on the triple press. So to see how to do that, go through the install guide with more detail, but keep in mind that it's in bus view. Click on the RFLC bus, start it in house ID mode, and then go through the specific sequencing for configuration. Now, scenario number 2. Let's say you wanted to add a scene point dimmer into the entry because you wanted some additional control over than just the porch light and the welcome light. Maybe you want an away button or like a goodbye or a house on scene or the like. So in this case, I can take and gang together with this 2-gang, if the project allows for a 3-gang, let's say that it does. I'm going to take this scene point dimmer and drag it in, and I'm actually going to even move it to the far left-hand side to that particular station. So in this case, I've now added a 4-button. I can go through and change it to a 3-button, a 2-button, a single button, even if I wanted to, depending on what I'm trying to do. So let's say now this particular button is going to be a house on or house off. I would go through the standard task wizard and I would choose all the loads in the house, whether they be RFLC loads or scene point loads or whatever the case may be, house on, house off, and of course I can engrave this. So you get the best of both worlds where you have more than what you typically get with RFLC, which is just direct load control here, plus now you've added programmability next to it with an intelligent station with more than 2 or 3 or 4 button presses that the scene point would allow you to have, which is really nice. And then last but not least, in the final scenario where you would be taking a centralized system and adding it to, let's say, the closets in the bedrooms upstairs, you could simply, if you had a fully installed centralized system and wanted to add closet control for just loads, but you didn't want to add a 5-button scene point dimmer or a 5-button keypad or home run that load because of the module or enclosure cost, you could simply take an RFLC dimmer, drag it into the closet, call it the closet load. Let's say, keep it consistent, closet 1 load, and now incorporate this into your house off scene. So the RFLC station in that closet is going to have the simple functionality of on and off with the RFLC dimmer, but you'll have the peace of mind and the flexibility of adding that load to the whole house on or whole house off floors, sweeping, and the like, to make sure that you are turning off the specific areas where before that room would have been left on unnecessarily. And you can do it at a relatively inexpensive cost. So being able to implement bidirectional load control at a very cost-effective price point, you're able to program and add loads to the tasks as you need, whether they be RFLC or combination of ScenePoints or centralized loads. You can implement timers for RFLC, so your sunrise, sunset scenes for lamps and anything that may be going on in the project that you wanted to turn specific lights on based on time of day. You can incorporate these together with sensors wired to contact input stations, so closets could have a contact input station and a sensor in a closet, but the load control itself is RFLC to keep costs down. Anything that InFusion supports where you can add functionality very easily and harness really the power and flexibility of a full InFusion system to take you through from a very simplistic system to full centralized and RFLC, expanding that out as you need, wiring devices and the like. So